So the new player's handbook has shaken up the Paladins big time. Divine Smite is now a spell that costs a bonus action, but you knew that already. The subclasses have also seen major changes. There are 4 in the book, so let's find the new, most powerful Paladin in D&D. Ancients. Ancients were the God Squad warriors who needed the most help out of 1D&D, and they got some. Your Channel Divinity Nature's Wrath lets you use an action to conjure spectral vines that ensnare all creatures within 15 feet of you. They've got to pass a strength save, and if they fail, they are restrained for the next minute. Sure, they can repeat the save at the end of each of their turns, but a 30-foot AoE mass restrain for an action is pretty good. And remember, Paladins get more uses of their Channel Divinity now. The old Ancient Channel Divinity could only ensnare 1 creature with this feature, so it's a big upgrade. You also get some pretty decent spells, including Misty Step, so you could use an action to set this up, Misty Step away, and then have your wizard Fireball or Sickening Radiance all the restrained creatures. Very war-crimey. At level 7 you get Aura of Warding. This used to give everyone resistance to damage from spells. It was pretty great. Now it gives resistance to Psychic, Necrotic, and Radiant damage. Not as great, because those damage types are quite rare. At level 15 you get Undying Sentinel. The first time you'd fall to 0 hit points, you fall to 1 instead. This is the same as the original version. The new version also gives you hit points equal to 3 times your Paladin level. So rather than jumping back at 1 hit point, you jump back at 46. Pretty tasty. All the new level 20 Paladin forms cost a bonus action to enter now, rather than a full action like they used to. Yes, it interferes with the new Divine Smite spell, but it is still a big improvement. The Ancients get the Elder Champion form, which has 3 benefits. 1. All enemies within your 30-foot aura have disadvantage on saves to resist your Channel Divinity or spells that you cast. That's pretty dope for a class that gets the Banishment spell. 2. You regain 10 hit points at the start of each of your turns. 3. Whenever you cast a spell with a casting time of an action, you can cast it using a bonus action instead. Holy crap, this is nuts. You can drop a bonus action Banishment or Conjure Celestial and follow it up with multi-attack. Ancient Paladins get probably the strongest final form of any Paladin, but as you'll see as we move through the other subclasses, the earlier Ancient Paladin features are a little weaker. If you're jumping right in at level 20, I'd put these guys in high A tier, maybe even S tier. But because that ability is so late and most campaigns will never reach it, they can chill in high B tier. A respectable subclass and a solid upgrade on their original version. Oh, hey man, what's up?
Help me! Help me!
What are you saying?
Help me! Help!
Are you trying to say moon soon?
What?
Oh, this is a metaphor, isn't it? You feel trapped in a boring campaign. You feel bound by the restraints of your D&D world.
No! Help me!
Well, don't worry, Jimmy. I've just grabbed us Moon Soon. Moon Soon is the brand new epic Kickstarter expansion to D&D from Arcane Minis. Transform games with the new Moon Deck mechanics, where each moon influences the trajectory of the adventure. 11 new races, 13 new subclasses, 40 new spells, over 50 new monsters, and over 120 beautiful minis to bring it all to life. Battle gods in epic, evolving combat that uses the Ryoko's Guide Kaiju mechanics, and take to the seas in the greatest swashbuckling D&D expansion ever made. Compatible with both the 2014 and 2024 versions of the rules. And to celebrate the campaign's success, all physical backers are getting a free pack of magic item cards. Moon Soon has only 3 days left on Kickstarter, so back today while it's still open to be a part of this epic game-shifting adventure. Link in description. Devotion. First thing you gotta know about Devotion Paladins is that your Channel Divinity used to cost an action to use. Now, it's totally free. It just happens when you take the attack action. That is amazing because the Devotion Channel Divinity slaps. It lasts for 10 minutes and gives you a bonus to every attack roll equal to your Charisma modifier. That's a plus 3 to 5 on every attack roll, representing a massive increase in damage. You hit more, you kill more. Simple as that. Plus, you can swap your damage damage type to Radiant to bypass resistances. From level 7, your aura protects you and your allies from the Charmed condition. Charmed is a very common condition in D&D and is very powerful. Total immunity is great. At level 15, your aura gets even better, giving you and all your allies half cover until the start of your next turn anytime you use your Divine Smite. That's +2 to AC for everyone within 10 feet, jumping up to 30 feet in a couple of levels. And because you're hitting more reliably thanks to your Channel Divinity, getting off that Divine Smite isn't going to be a problem. Finally, level 20 gets you Holy Nimbus, boosting your aura with 3 more abilities for the next 10 minutes. 1. You have advantage on any save you're forced to make from a fiend or undead. That's useless 90% of the time, but if you're ever in hell or in the abyss, it's gonna feel great. 2. Whenever an enemy starts its turn in your 30-foot aura, it takes radiant damage equal to your charisma modifier plus your proficiency bonus. No saving throw. That's just a free, automatic 11+ damage on every enemy's turn. It's also a fun way to automatically murder every peasant who steps within 30 feet of you if you consider the poor an enemy. Finally, the area of your aura is filled with sunlight. This is specifically targeted to screw over undead. The Devotion Paladin's capstone is good. Not as good as the Ancients, but every other ability they have is amazing. They're also really simple to play. Usually, being powerful in D&D requires a lot of complexity, but not here. Just take your fantastic, reliable damage, Divine Smite all the time, and enjoy being fantastic. This is S tier. Glory. So Glory Paladins have 2 uses for your Channel Divinity starting at level 3. The boring one lets you use a bonus action to give yourself advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks for the next hour, as well as increasing your jump distance by 10 feet. It doesn't increase your actual movement speed, just the distance you can jump. It's kind of bad, especially when your other Channel Divinity is pretty good. Inspiring Smite lets you burn a use of Channel Divinity when you hit a creature with your Divine Smite to distribute temporary hit points among the party. You get 2d8 plus your Paladin level worth of temporary hit points to share among creatures within 30 feet. Keeping it all for yourself represents an average of 12 temporary hit points, which isn't nothing. This isn't Twilight Cleric levels of insanity, but the extra tankiness is appreciated. There's also a spell list worth talking about here. Guiding Bolt gives you a great ranged damage option, which Paladins often struggle with, and Magic Weapon gives you a boost to hits and to damage. Magic Weapon has also been updated in the new rules, so it no longer requires concentration. And then there's Haste. Haste is great. Very high risk, but very high reward. Your level 7 Aura of Alacrity is unique, giving any ally that moves within 10 feet of you on its turn a 10-foot boost to its speed until the end of its next turn. Movement speed is a hard thing to evaluate in D&D, because although more is definitely better, you have to build around abusing it. Let's face it, most characters charge into battle and then stand still, taking turns slapping each other. But you have Haste at level 9, doubling your speed and letting you take the dash action while still being able to multi-attack. You can speed blitz enemies with this. It's a whole build on its own. Your level 15 feature is fantastic. Whenever you or an ally in your aura is hit with an attack roll, you can grant that target a bonus to its AC equal to your charisma modifier. If that AC boost turns the attacker's hit into a miss, you can then make a weapon attack against the attacker as long as they're within your weapon's range. This means that Glory Paladins are the only Paladins where you could consider grabbing a ranged weapon, just for the late game potential of saving an enemy 30 feet away and following it up with a gunshot to the head. It's not optimal, but it's possible. You can use this ability a number of times equal to your charisma modifier per long rest. Attacking as a reaction and protecting an ally is fantastic, but if you like attacking as a reaction, there is a better paladin option coming up. Your final form is Living Legend, and it lasts for 10 minutes. It gives you advantage on all charisma checks, making this a realistic option for social encounters. But even if you can't talk your way out of combat, it also gives you the ability to automatically succeed on a single attack roll once per turn, even if it's a nat 1, and you can also burn a reaction to re-roll any failed saving throw. That's a pretty solid capstone, better than Devotion, worse than Ancients, and backed up with a solid spell list and some pretty decent abilities. Glory Paladins can chill in A tier. Vengeance. The iconic Vengeance Paladin is here, and it's interesting. Firstly, look at that spell list. That is beautiful. This is the best Paladin spell list in the game. Then you get Channel Divinity, Vow of Enmity. As a free action, when you attack, you can pick one enemy specifically and say F you. All attack rolls you make against that target now have advantage, and when that creature falls to 0 hit points, don't worry about it, you can just move your vow to another creature. Let's compare this to Devotion Paladin. They get a bonus equal to their charisma on every attack roll against any creature for 10 minutes. You get advantage on all attacks against a single creature for 1 minute. Combat rarely lasts more than 4 rounds, so the duration isn't such a big deal, and advantage works out as a mathematical plus 3.3 to hit. So, at least when you're focusing on one enemy at a time, you're hitting as reliably as the Devotion Paladin, initially. Devotion will overtake you as they buff their charisma across the game, but advantage gives you double the chances to score a critical hit. I'd say they're comparable and both very strong, but if you're dumping charisma, this is definitely the better option. At level 7, you get Relentless Avenger. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, that creature's speed falls to 0 until the end of turn. You can then move up to half your movement speed without provoking opportunity attacks. On paper, this is pretty mid. It relies on enemies running away from you to do anything. However, if you combo this with Paladin Master, we're really talking. That feat lets you make an opportunity attack against any creature that moves within 10 feet of you. So you can bonk them as they approach you, reduce their speed to 0 so their turn is basically over, and then retreat, all as part of the same reaction. This is a strong interaction, but remember that Paladin Master isn't great on Paladins otherwise, because the extra attacks it gives you use your bonus action, and you really want that free to be casting Divine Smite. It's a cool combo, but if you don't have that feat, this feature is pretty mid. Level 15 gives you Soul of Vengeance. Immediately after the creature under your Vow of Enmity hits or misses with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against them. This is the point where we start to see cracks in the new Vengeance Paladin. It is sloppy. This feature costs a reaction to use, and it isn't an opportunity attack. It is impossible to ever benefit from this and your level 7 feature in the same round. Still, if you forget about your level 7 feature and assess this on its own merits, it's a good feature that lets you make a reaction attack every single turn if you can stay close to your target. And your level 20 capstone helps with that. Bonus action, 10 minutes, you gain a 60-foot fly speed. Not bad. You also get Frightful Aura, meaning any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of you has to make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened of you for the next minute. Not bad on its own, but it also says that all attack rolls against the frightened creature are made at advantage. You've got advantage on attacks anyway thanks to your Vow of Enmity, but now your allies can benefit as well. However, that frightened condition ends early if the creature ever takes damage, so it isn't sticking around for too long, and a lot of late game creatures are immune to the frightened condition. All things considered, Vengeance Paladin is incredibly powerful, but its features don't mesh together as well as some of the other Paladin subclasses. Your reactions are overtaxed and they want enemies to be close to you, but your final feature frightens enemies, which stops them approaching you. That said, this is the best Paladin to take a 3-level dip into, because Vow of Enmity is wild and it doesn't require any charisma investment. Also, do not forget about that spell list. This is fantastic, even with some tension around your abilities, and even if you totally ignore your level 7 ability once you reach level 15, Vengeance Paladins still make it to S tier. By relying on Bane, Hunter's Mark, Divine Smite, and Haste as your spells of choice, you can also pretty much ditch Charisma as a Vengeance Paladin, something Devotion Paladins really can't do. Is Devotion better? I'd say very slightly, especially with a level 1 Warlock dip, but they are both fantastic. Also remember that the power gap between subclasses has been narrowed a lot in this book, so the difference between a B tier class and an A tier class is a lot smaller than it used to be. And yes, even with the Divine Smite nerf, Paladins are still very strong. If you want to support the channel to make videos like this possible, you can do so on Patreon. Every month I release new feats, spells, rules expansions, subclasses, species, and maps. I even run games there too. Any support means a huge amount in the wild world of YouTube content creation. Also remember to like and subscribe, check out other videos on the channel, and yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you next time.